When the word Concord is used, there might be a better chance a politician would use that word when he is talking about the grape rather than the nonpartisan coalition that's been trying for years to get elected officials to take our blooming federal debt more seriously. We talked with the Concord Coalition back in the 2012 cycle. Federal debt was only a mere $16 trillion then. Well, now it's more than 20, so it's time to talk again.
I guess they're listening, they're just not doing anything about it. That's the problem. No, really, every year we go through this with candidates and try to encourage them to take our national debt seriously. But it keeps getting bigger and bigger, over 20 trillion now.
Why?
Basically, we have a structural mismatch between spending and revenues. Spending is going up on autopilot faster than revenues. And it's frankly, a lot of it's because of our aging population. People like me, our baby boomers are qualifying for Social Security and Medicare. You add in the military expenditures we've got, and then you look at the revenues. Revenues are strong, but they're not growing as fast as the spending. So the debt keeps getting bigger.
The Republicans, basically during the Obama administration, had complained about the skyrocketing debt under his tenure. Well, they control pretty much everything now. So are you seeing any progress?
Not yet. And there's a troubling tendency right now that I'm seeing of, well, let's not worry about the deficit and the debt. Maybe that's too hard. And maybe if we cut taxes, we can tell people we're going to grow our way out of the problem. That way we don't have to worry about it at all. And I think that that's something really to worry about if politicians say, well, let's not worry about this stuff and kind of look for magic solutions.
Well, when you talk to people out there, though, do you think the mindset has now changed in where it felt like years ago maybe we heard more of that argument that cut taxes enough and grow our way out of this? But it feels like, at least talking to the Iowa representatives we've had, they will talk about that you have to do, if you're going to cut taxes to try to grow, you also have to offset it with some spending cuts. Is that the more prevalent view out there, or are those who still maintain if you cut taxes enough, we will outgrow it and we don't have to do the spending cuts?
That is the key point we're going to see debated really within the Republican side, because as you say, they're in control. The House has more taken the position of we should cut taxes, but do other things to balance that so it's fiscally responsible. The Senate is moving in the direction that I'm not as comfortable with, which is let's just assume heavy growth and we'll say that the deficits are going to stimulate the economy. And I think that's headed down a very problematic path because I don't think it's based on what's likely to happen.
When you talked about when they've discussed tax reform, you all have come out to say, okay, do it, but can't add to our debt.
Right, yeah.
What's your feel with that?
You mean how would you do it, or where are they going with it?
Yes.
Yes, both. Well, I think the classic definition from an economist point of view is broaden the base and lower the rates, and that would be best for the economy. That means getting rid of a lot of exemptions, deductions, credits, things that people call loopholes until it's something that you benefit from. Yeah, then it's not a loophole, it's my right. So tax reform is difficult to do it that way, and that's why I think some of the senators saying, let's not worry about that, let's take the easy route and just say, okay, we are going to increase the deficit, and we think that's going to juice up the economy.
What's your take on the president so far? Do you feel like he is committed to debt reduction and ultimately balanced budget? I remember talking to him about this probably a year and a half or so before he was elected, and he had talked about, yeah, he thinks perhaps 4 or 5 years into the game we can get to a balanced budget point. Are you seeing that commitment from him?
No, I'm a little bit troubled that he doesn't talk at all about any sort of hard choices. It's all positive assumptions about growth, and we don't have to touch the entitlement programs, and we can cut taxes, and we can increase military spending, and there's no pain, and believe me, we're going to grow our way out of it. I don't think it adds up at all.
Up next, why Bob compares some of that thinking in Washington with a product you gardeners may know a little something about, It's called Miracle Grow.